Welcome. This is the Ends Justify the Memes, the Lord's Day edition, the 8th day, the day of new birth and new life, where the lowest of the low, that is the most wretched of wretched and deplorable to end all deplorable. You, the viewer, can chime in and join the conversation. I'll be your host, Bill, and this is my producer and co-host, Tank. So call in without fear and lend us your ear, because the ends always justify the memes. All right, guys. So if you are catching this later, not live, you won't be able to call in, obviously. But what we're trying to do is allow regular viewers to be able to chat with us, to come in, talk to us 5-10 minutes, maybe, depending. There is a Discord in the link, and then we will share out the StreamYard's link in the Discord. It's there right now. So all you have to do is get into the Discord. You can join the StreamYards, sit backstage, and Tank will bring you in when he brings you in. Now, I will say this. For all of you out there who want to, be a little crazy, a little wild, realize this is not your channel. This is our channel. So we have the right to mute you and kick you off at any time if you want to get out of hand, just to say. If I say cut it, if I do this, tell Tank, that's enough, then that's enough. Not that I think any of you would, but you never know who's going to be out there trolling and, what kind of people we may bring in. So I don't know, Tank, you got anything, man, with that?
Oh, no.
Anything to say?
What happened? Okay, we're good. Yeah, I had a little bit of a issue. It just popped up. Okay, we're good.
Little mic. So you got anything to say about the stream, the Sunday stream?
I mean, you cover everything. We're gonna see how it goes, and just see what happens. But yeah, like you said, what not to say. So I'll put it that way.
Don't get us yeeted, folks.
Yeah.
And I will say this too: we may not do this every Sunday, but we should be streaming regularly on Sunday. It's just that on occasion we may be bringing in a guest, because guests have limited schedules, limited time slots, and we need to accommodate them the best that we can, because we cannot always rearrange our schedules for guests, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we have our friend Matt, who is a regular viewer. Do you want to bring Matt in?
Yeah.
What's up, Matt?
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. I invited Kizza too, but I don't know if he paid attention.
Be here.
He's not even on the webs.
He's usually quick to show up, so we'll see.
Yeah, I know he's in the server. So, in any case, Matt, you got anything you want to talk about specifically?
Not really.
Yeah.
Clean slate right now.
That's cool, man. We can just hang out. This is later in the evening for Kizza. So you Tank did bring up the Chauvin trial, because you are quite interested in the Chauvin trial right now. So what's going on with that? Because I'm not paying super attention, I should say.
So from what I've seen, so the first day I didn't get to watch when they had the first actual trial day, not the jury selection, but their first actual trial day. They brought in some basically law enforcement expert types. I think one was from LAPD and one was from the Minnesota Police Department. And they basically, it was prosecution witnesses. And basically they were trying to argue that what Chauvin did was outside the realm of policy, that he acted something that just, at one point they said, no, we've never done anything like that before. Then the defense gets up and shows a picture. We've seen it where it has the knee on the neck kind of thing. And goes, here's a picture of a guy with a knee on somebody's neck. And he says, well, yeah, I mean, sometimes we do stuff like that, but that's more on the guy's back. And then they showed a picture, like one of the more famous pictures from the whole incident. And it showed that Chauvin more or less had his knee on on Floyd's back, not so much on his neck. And he got the guy to agree to it, that it was kind of more on his back. And they also said that the defense got the witnesses to admit that Chauvin did not use excessive force. In fact, They said he could have used the taser as soon as he showed up on the scene, which, according to them, was beyond further than the line of the use of force continuum. So it looks like the defense kind of won on the first day. The second day, they had this guy that he was an Irish or Scottish dude. I don't remember, but they say he wrote the Bible on breathing. He's a pulmonologist, I think was the word they used. Guy who studies breathing. Anyway, so and to me, the prosecution did win this day, but that guy was absolutely bullshitting. Basically, he said that Chauvin's knee on the back of Floyd's neck exerted 86 pounds of pressure, which may be true. Actually, it could be more. I don't know. But anyone who's done any kind of like grappling art knows that you're constantly shifting your body weight. So I don't know.
I was going to ask you about that Tank. What was Chauvin's weight? They said he was only like 150 pounds, right?
They said with all of his stuff on, like all of his utility belt and everything, he's about 150 pounds. Yeah, I think he's like walks around at 140, 145 or something. He's like 5'9". So it's like my size.
Right. I was going to say he weighs less than I do.
But anyway,
George Floyd is like 6'4", right? Something like that.
Yeah, 6'4", like 230 pounds or something. But
for anyone not quite aware, let me explain something to you that a guy my size can definitely keep a 6'4" guy down, but not that easily. So just saying that's a big disparity of leverage. And of course, George Floyd was like 230 as well. He's kind of thick, right?
Yeah.
Bigger, athletic.
Well, and he tried to say, and I feel like this is absolute bullshit, that Chauvin's knee on the back of Floyd's neck was able to cut off airflow from his windpipe. And I think that's about the most ridiculous thing anyone, like, we're telling me this 140-pound dude was able to break through George Floyd's, spinal strength to cut off his wind. Yeah, I don't buy that. Well, then the next day they had the medical examiner came in and basically said the opposite. Said no, he didn't cut off blood flow or airflow with his knee on the back of the neck, which kind of goes to what I felt like was the main point from the get-go. Really, if Derek Chauvin did cut off George Floyd's ability to breathe, it wasn't because of a knee on the neck. It's because of the weight on the rib cage, I would think. Because, if you put downward pressure on someone's rib cage and their lungs can't expand, that's where you'd lose your oxygen.
Well, yeah, in fact, if you want to watch a very awesome MMA match or MMA fighter, and on the catch wrestling side, go watch Josh Barnett.
Yeah.
And he's literally submitted some of the best jiu-jitsu guys out there with chest compressions, with a diaphragm choke.
Yeah.
Meaning the chest can't expand, therefore you have no oxygen.
Yeah. So, yeah. and from my experience in law enforcement with the fear of positional asphyxiation, it's exactly that. You handcuff someone's hands behind their back, you put them face down, and their lungs can't expand. Which is the reason why I thought Chauvin, or in the get-go, the reason why I thought Chauvin was going to go down for this for sure. I was like, there's no way he's not going to get off on this. But then they said that their department uses those things. So I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up, like how they're going to be able to argue that he acted within his authority, and this guy, like even if it is his fault, like even if he put 200 pounds of pressure, all of his body weight on George Floyd's ribcage, how they're going to be able to say that this was definitely second-degree murder, maybe manslaughter. But again, if he acted under policy, I don't know how they're going to be able to pin that on him. I don't know, Matt. What do you think? Is he there? Is his mic?
Yes,
off?
I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The same as you. It's one of those things where you got to put your. I don't know. I've got the some play-by-plays by Lomax and use the Unix server.
Yeah,
and it's just walls and walls of text for each one of these. He does a really good play-by-play.
Yeah, I just found out about this blog called Legal Insurrection. It's essentially about the lawyers that have a blog, basically, but they were going over sort of the play-by-play on who's winning what at any given time. And for the first day, they definitely gave it to the defense. For the second day, that guy, the Tobin dude that came on, the dude who wrote the Bible on pulmonology, the defense probably lost that day. But it turns out, I didn't realize this till later, that they were able to get that witness approved the night before. So the defense didn't even have a chance to look at the argument, really. And I didn't know this, but he's only got one guy. There's one defense attorney and an assistant, and then the prosecution has like, I don't know, 4 attorneys or something. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Reminder, just put it in the chat, but links are in the description if you want to join the conversation in any way, shape, or form. You can go over to the Discord. StreamYards is there. I just updated the description. So the StreamYard links for today is there because, we don't have a lot of watchers at the moment, so I don't think it'll be a big deal. You can sit backstage. We can bring you in. If you guys want to talk, like, you don't have to show your face. StreamYards will allow you to use an avatar, right? Just your voice.
Yeah.
You want to talk? You have some opinions on this George Floyd Chauvin case is what we're talking about, at least at the moment. In any case, man, one of the things I thought was funny was the medical examiner said that George Floyd definitely died of asphyxiation, but then that asphyxiation was it wasn't a matter of heart attack or fentanyl or any of those other things. It was directly from Derek Chauvin. Yet when asked if they hadn't seen the video, if you had not seen this video, what would you have classified the death? They immediately said, "Oh, I would have said it was a heart attack or a fentanyl overdose." So right there, the bias came from seeing the video. And if they'd never seen the video, supposedly there was no evidence that there was anything within the neck that was crushed, despite the one famous guy who does the autopsies that did the Epstein autopsy as well.
Right.
Which makes me wonder, and have always wondered about that gentleman anyway, is like he always finds what the families want to find out. He always seems to find some sort of foul play, doesn't he? In any case, not saying that Epstein did kill himself, but I've also worked in a jail and found guys hanging exactly as described. Anyways, back to the Floyd Chauvin thing. I just don't see where these small men, because all of the other police officers were also not very large, kneeling on Floyd, even though they had the prosecutors show a diagram where Chauvin's hips were directly over his knee. Excuse me. He was not like that the whole time. He moved his hip position several times, changes the amount of weight that is on the individual. So anyways, yeah, this whole thing like seems really strange to me when fentanyl basically shuts down your muscle capacity to breathe, like your actual lung function, because your muscles have to contract and relax in order for you to breathe. That begins to shut down, right? And Tank, you would know this because you have a little bit of training in this, I would assume, right?
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. If you add coronary artery disease, you add, a cacophony of drugs, I could absolutely see some amount of downward pressure on the rib cage could be the thing that put Floyd is the straw that broke the camel's back on that. I could absolutely see where that particular maneuver contributed to the death of George Floyd. I think it's hard to argue that it couldn't. The issue is if he's within his rights to use that maneuver, which it seems like he is, how are you going to get him for anything? That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know, Matt. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. If you can't expect to do something that'll lead to a situation that'll have a necessary for an officer to restrain you, and also expect to not be in danger at all, not get hurt at all,
Yeah. All right. Well, Matt, if you don't have anything else, we're gonna bring the next guest on.
We can bring you back in, Matt. So we're just gonna bring somebody else in real quick. All right.
I'm good. Thanks.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks. Don, what's up?
What's going on, man? Can you
Don
hear
the
me?
Pleb. I figured if I sent Don a text, he would call in.
Neat. So the real question is, can you hear me? Because this is going through the car.
Yeah, you're a little quiet, but I can hear you.
You sound late and gay, but it's usual. So
That's my style. So
right.
fuck it, good.
So how was Florida? How was Fort Lauderdale, man?
Well, it was nice yesterday, but it's pissing on me like a motherfucker right now.
God.
That's a shame because that's actually some of my favorite parts of Florida. It's really beaches are really calm, very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too humid.
Right as the protest things finished up, a massive storm rolled in. It's been basically raining nonstop. So.
Well, that sucks. I did get to watch a lot of your stream yesterday. I was actually underwhelmed by the size of the fires. I wish the masks I wish there was a big bonfire that was, the center of attention. But aside from that, I mean, people were showing up and doing something, right?
I would have taken the hobo burn barrel, honestly. That would have been fine.
Yeah. But there were like paint roller tins with masks in them.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that because they went to the cops and were like, hey, we want to light something on fire on the beach, the cops were like, there's going to have to be rules about this. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure that was involved.
Yeah, and it's funny, too, because you had a lot of YouTube viewers, which was good for your channel, right? But I was over on the Entropy chat, and we were kind of making fun of the YouTube viewers because they kept being simps, or at least I was, because they were like, Don, go talk to that girl in the black bikini, and someone else was like, one, Don's married, and two, that girl's 15.
Right. Chat was like, just show us titties, more titties, and I was like, chat, it's not a porn channel. It's not Pornhub.
We're not on Twitch, guys. We're not on Twitch. So do you have any thoughts, Don, on this whole Chauvin thing? I know you do. We've been talking about it. So give us some thoughts that maybe you haven't expressed on your channel. I know that might be hard.
Chauvin was never going to get convicted. The question is, how he gets not convicted. Because it's so public, there's no way to get an unbiased jury. So the chances that, the statistical likelihood that out of 12 jurors, there is not at least one person already on each side of the subject. One of those 12 walked in and went, I'm not convicting this guy. This is dumb. And then one of those 12 walked in and were like, I don't care if Jesus himself came down and tried to resurrect Floyd, was like, I can't do it. And Chauvin didn't do anything wrong, and he sent the prayer and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. He's going to jail. Those two people exist. So
right.
Hung jury seems pretty likely.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think there's going to be, giant riots. Massively huge riots, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be because there's a lot of people that want Chauvin to go down for murder one. It's just how it is. They feel like that he intentionally said it. He woke up today, he's like, I'm gonna kill a black dude, and he feel like he got the opportunity. I don't see anything in the world that leads me to believe that. I don't see any kind of malicious intent whatsoever. But if he even only gets manslaughter, then it's going to be a shit show. I feel like. Yeah.
Well, no matter what, he's not getting murder one, and basically the prosecution made sure of that.
Yeah.
When they brought in the use of force expert, the use of force expert was like, "Oh yeah, he definitely could have tased Floyd. He was well within his rights to just popped out a taser and been like, yeah, so shut up and lay on the ground." And then defense attorney is like, so he used a lesser form of force? That's it. There's no intent. It's over. Done. At least in any objective world, it's over.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Chauvin's attorney is for sure a boss at getting the prosecution's people to stick foot in mouth because they've said a lot of dumb things,
And you guys were talking a minute ago about the amount of fentanyl in its system, and whether or not it directly points to an overdose. There is a thing here that, while I have mentioned it on the channel, I haven't mentioned it since the original autopsies came out. we're all talking about the amount of fentanyl in Floyd's system and how that is 3 times the lethal dose and blah, blah, blah. There was more than a lethal dose for fentanyl calculations of norfentanyl in Floyd, which, having done the numbers way back in the day, the quantity of fentanyl that man ingested was enough to kill a human being 5 to 7 times over.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
A ridiculous quantity of drugs.
Right. Well, and he also had methamphetamine. So you get certain combinations. I don't know all the chemistry, but you do get certain combinations produced when you mix drugs of toxic chemicals that your body has to eject. There's all kinds of stuff that could have gone wrong, other than a knee on the back of his neck. Right. There was stuff on George Floyd's end that wasn't right, and I've more or less thought from the beginning George Floyd had killed himself. My thing is I still don't understand why he wasn't able to get medical attention sooner. And I do understand as far as logistically. I don't understand why police officers don't run with like EMS, like the military runs with medics. You know, I don't get it.
The LA bank shooting is the answer to your question. Because they sent EMS in the bank shooting, and the 2 guys were still up and running, and
right.
they smoked like 2 or 3 EMTs, and basically every EMS service was like, that's it, not in our guys anymore until law enforcement clears the scene and gives us the okay. Like we're not going anywhere near you. You're just going to have to deal with that.
Don, you're gonna have to. You're breaking up on us, man. So you're gonna have to repeat all of that.
So they said they said the guys got booked, and they were like, we're not sending anybody.
Oh my God.
So
yeah, you're still breaking up on it pretty good.
Dude, if you want to call back in, if you got time, we'll bring Matt back in for a little bit. Just call back in a couple minutes, and maybe your signal will get cleared up there, because that was just unintelligible, unfortunately.
All right, we'll bring you back in, Don.
Yeah, we got R2D2 there. Still got Matt backstage. There we go.
Yeah, there we are.
Hello.
Matt.
Yeah, so I was just looking at what you put in the chat here, Matt. Slows breathing, dulls pain for the fentanyl. So here's the thing. If George Floyd woke up on that day and took the same amount of drugs that he took that day, and instead of going to a convenience store, he went to a wrestling gym. And he signed up. He's like, I'm going to do my first day of class. And he goes in there, and some dude hip tosses him and puts a bunch of pressure on his rib cage, makes him breathe really hard, and he dies. Is it the wrestler guy's fault? Right? I mean, perhaps you could say
the waiver tank. The waiver.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you could argue that this wrestler that put all this weight on his chest contributed to the cause of his death, but he was in his authority to do that because George Floyd signed up. So that's, to me, is it's going to come down to, was Derek Chauvin within his authority to do what he did? And if they can prove that, or at least put enough doubt in the jurors' minds that, yeah, I mean, that was a reasonable option to take, then to me it's done. At that point. So I don't know. It's going to be a shit show. Like, people's not going to like that. They're going to say, oh, he specifically put his knee on George Floyd's neck, and I guess, I don't know, choked him through a spinal cord. I guess is what they're going to argue. I don't really know how it's supposed to work. There's a lot of people on Twitter saying, oh, he blood choked him, and the medical examiner said, even if he did, and granted, this was the prosecution's witness. The medical examiner said even if Derek Chauvin's knee was on his neck, it wasn't enough to cut off the carotid artery. And even if it did cut off that carotid artery, he's got a whole nother one working on the other side. So he said a lot of things about coronary artery disease. You know, this whole thing about, well, if they would have, that one witness said if she wouldn't have saw the video, then she would have said that it was a drug overdose or a heart attack or whatever. So, you know, it's going to be weird how they're going to be able to say, well, you know, I wish the defense would say, well, what in that video makes you believe that that's what caused the death? If you're going to say, I thought it was this until I watched the video, well, what happens in that video? Because to me, you know, downward pressure on the ribcage, maybe it could be argued, but a knee on the neck, like a 240-pound man's spine, you know, how fragile do you think this 6'6" dude's neck is?
Yeah. Well, Dr. Baker was asked, in your opinion, did the heart disease, history of hypertension, and drugs that were in his system play a role in Mr. Floyd's death? And the answer was yes. So the expert thinks all these things were a factor. And yeah, you have no reasonable expectation that you're going to be like offered a hammock whenever you're fighting the cops.
Yeah.
You're going to be under some kind of duress, and possibly duress that harms you. There's no perfectly safe way to arrest somebody, you know?
Right. Well, I guess we can bring Dawn back in. We got 2 Dawns here. Let's see which one works. Does this work? Do we have Dawn?
Yeah, you can keep Matt in too with Dawn. It's just the 4 of us. I'm gonna
How you
text
doing,
Jeremy
Don?
right now. I'll see if Jeremy will come in.
We got 2 Dawns. Here we go.
You were
Which one
roboting
works?
out pretty bad there.
I don't think he's there either. Huh. Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, so I mean, the defense is doing really good. I will say that. Because they could walk in, the defense could walk in and say, well, yeah, okay, Derek Chauvin killed him, but he was he was using maneuvers that were part of his police training. So what are you going to do? You know, that's enough right there to take away manslaughter and murder too. So he's kind of going above and beyond on this. So it's going to be, I'm not surprised this dude isn't going to get some death threats, you know?
Who, Dr. Baker?
No, well, maybe, but the defense attorney.
All I know is no one is in chat. It's quite strange.
Yeah.
Is this just an avatar or is this actually Dawn here? Like
It's supposed to be Don, so I don't know. Well, no, it went away. Don lives with us in spirit, I
He
guess.
lives with us in spirit.
So yeah, I mean,
He was like the last officer to be in the situation. There were 2 more before him. They just happened to choose him as like the one to prosecute. I mean,
But he was the senior
my
officer, I
opinion.
think, was the deal, right? Like this, one of the biggest issues that the department is going to face with all this is the failure to train, because these other guys were younger. They didn't probably know what to do. They need a backup. So they sent in this more senior officer for this situation they couldn't quite control. And again, I don't know all the inside baseball. I don't know the actual behind the scenes story, but that seems to be the case, right? They sent Chauvin in, and he decided not to use the taser. He decided to use a lesser restraint, as they call it. And there's no guarantee that if he had tased Floyd, that Floyd wouldn't have had a heart attack then.
yeah.
Being tased is not fun.
Yeah. Here's what I think the issue is. The cultural issue. So the narrative this whole time is that Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd by placing his knee on his neck for, 9.5 minutes, whatever it is. A lot of people don't realize how tough your neck is. Like, you know, like the idea that it looks bad on camera, right? Like he has his knee on his neck, and you think your neck's a vulnerable place, but it's not really your neck that's that vulnerable. It's your throat that's vulnerable. You know, all the stuff that matters is here and here, which was facing away from Derek Chauvin. But it's a good meme. It's a good soundbite, you know, to only someone who, you know, has malicious intent would put their knee on someone's neck. Which, if you look at any grappling competition that's ever happened, all these dudes have malicious intent, and none of them put their knees on their neck because it doesn't do that much. So, because it's not a very effective way to hurt somebody if you really want to. You know, you could flip them over on their back and punch them in the throat, and that'd be a lot better. So but people's already digested this meme so much as this knee on the neck thing. So when they pronounce him innocent, which I believe they probably will, it's gonna be like, oh well, he specifically put his knee down this man's neck with malicious intent, and you let him off because, I don't know, racism or whatever. So I mean, it sucks. It's gonna be a shit show regardless.
Yeah, it will be, no matter what the verdict is. Lomax has contributed a lot of these play-by-plays that I've posted here. Dr. Baker, the coroner, also directly contradicted the analysis of Dr. Torben. I think that's the one you were talking about before.
Yeah.
In his opinion, Dr. Baker's opinion, the Chauvin's knee would not have cut off the airway of Floyd just from reviewing the angle. This is Lomax speaking. Just from reviewing the angle, I agree with the coroner. It just doesn't look like Chauvin would be crushing Floyd's hypopharynx.
Absolutely not. Let me see if I can find this. Hold on.
For the vast majority of the restraint. I only saw like a 10-minute video, like when it happened. What was it, 6 months ago or something?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have the opinion on that.
Let me see if I can find a good picture, and we'll. Okay, here we go.
But Dr. Baker contradicted Dr. Torben on that.
Absolutely. Let me.
You're gonna find that, man. You're just gonna find that. That's like, just because someone with a medical degree, who's worked in the field a long time, has said something doesn't mean that they're correct, right? They're still humans. They still make mistakes. It's still a judgment call to some degree.
Well, the thing about it is, and they're not going to do this, but it'd be funny. Dr. Torben is supposed to be the expert on breathing.
Yes.
But he's not the expert on choking people. So it'd be funny if they got like some jiu-jitsu guy or something in there that was an expert in choking people and said, yeah, that's not really how you're going to choke somebody.
But even so, it's like I saw this Instagram yesterday. I think it was linked. Someone was putting it up, and someone I follow, where these people were actually arguing that, like, I don't even know why we're having a trial if you don't understand. Like, this is ridiculous that we're even having a trial. It's like, this is the mentality that is growing, and guys, it's growing on either side of the political spectrum too. I'm not even talking about just the leftists. These were leftists saying that Floyd, obviously was murdered. Chauvin was seen as guilty. I mean, Chelsea Handler said the same thing. Why are we even having a trial? And these were people, and I was reading comments about this, and I'm like, what is wrong with you folks? So basically, if I accuse you of something, as long as I have some sort of video of it, we can just assume that there's nothing more complicated to the issue. As long as I have a piece of video, in that case, 9-10 minutes. Now, what, we have like an hour's worth of footage.
Yeah.
They say they tell different stories. We have to realize that this situation is complicated. It's not like Chauvin walked up to Floyd, pulled out a gun, and just shot him in the head. We could say, well, we have a video. Why do we even need a trial? Well, because there's process, and process is important. But again, that's not what happened. There are multiple factors at play here, to include that use of force continuum that Chauvin could have escalated higher on. You have to start looking at what all of the benefit of the doubts are on Chauvin's side, and those are all the things that apply reasonable doubt. And the only way he is getting convicted is if basically the jury is just dirty and they're the same mindset as those folks going, well, He shouldn't even get a trial. Let's not even worry about that. You know.
Hold on, I'm telling people they can call in. Remind everybody, you guys can call in.
Hey, Holly.
Yeah, you guys can call in. We're talking about this. Anybody who wants to, I can bring you right in. But I just want to bring up this diagram. Which one do I have here? Yeah, so
Okay, both Holly and Dollhawk, if you weren't aware, as Tank was just saying, in the description, there is a link to a Discord. You don't need to go to that directly. We do have just the StreamYards link up that we're streaming on right now. You can go there, sit backstage if you want to talk. You don't have to show your face. The way StreamYards works, you can just do it audio via an avatar. You should be able to do it through your phone. So go ahead, Tank.
But so I pulled up a diagram here. It's kind of small. Hopefully everyone can see it. But this is the human neck, right? Okay, so you've got all your vital bits, your larynx, your vocal folds, your esophagus, all the stuff that you want to, if you are intentionally trying to hurt somebody, is on the front. And you see behind all that stuff, where these little red marks and the blue marks is, there's this representation that is the spine. And then you've got all that muscle on the back side of the spine. If you just bend your head all the way back, and, try to make the back of your head touch the middle of your back, you can still breathe. So just simply bending the neck is going to cut off your airway. Having someone's knee on the back of your neck, you have a whole spine there. It's a thing. So there's no way that it cut off the airway. I thought that maybe it could be argued that it cut off the blood flow because you have your carotid arteries. But even then, you have another one. Like, even if you cut off one side, that's not enough to choke somebody out. Anybody who's ever done any kind of submission grappling will tell you that you have to cut off both carotid arteries or you're not going to get the choke. People will have one carotid artery cut off and will fight and get out of a choke and win.
Yeah, they'll be weakened a little bit, but you're not going to necessarily knock anyone out. And speaking of that too, as well, it should be made a point of you have to hold that for a while in order for it to do significant damage to somebody. When you initially put it on, if you're good, a really tight one should choke you out within 5 to 10 seconds.
Right.
But you're going to have to hold it for a good minute or so if you're expecting to really hurt somebody, brain damage, have a hard time reviving them, that kind of stuff. It takes a while. One of my favorite chokes is referred to by some people as a handgun choke, but basically it's a choke that's like a guillotine. It's a handgun guillotine, and as you come in, you set it up in the right way. It's literally a 2-second choke because everything compresses down so tight that they go out almost instantly.
Yeah.
But it takes skill to get to that level. You're not going to get that from a knee. No. You're not going to get that from a forearm. That kind of choke, you're literally compressing the neck and clamping down using your entire body weight. You're in an awkward position where you're like over top the person, and you have your legs set up in a certain way where they can't roll or escape in any way. And that's why that works like that. Rear naked choke works really well because, well, you have the most position of dominance. You can control their movement. You can control, well, basically, look, guys, like we don't fight back here, right? It's hard to do, right? So you're controlling their hips, you're controlling their movement, and then all you have to do then is fight the arms until you can get that in a position. And my favorite thing is people are doing all that and they want to tuck their chin. I just do dirty stuff like their pressure points and all. And if you've been wrestling or doing jiu-jitsu for a long time, it doesn't matter. You'll just eat that. But most people, they don't like it. And in any case, my only point is that there's stuff that happens in the gym that is far more severe than just having a knee on the neck. So, in the end, and we're not talking about being kneed repeatedly on the neck or weight dropped on the neck or anything like that. We're just talking about steady pressure and a relief of pressure.
Well, it's even assumption that it's steady pressure, right? Like, just because you have your knee, on someone's neck doesn't mean you're applying steady pressure.
But that's kind of what I was just saying. There was a relief.
Yeah.
Every angle I saw, there was a changing of that pressure. It was not a consistent, direct 100% of his weight. Obviously, it's not 100% of his weight, but 80% that they're saying, whatever it
Yeah.
was, you know?
Okay, let's bring in Holly. She's here. I guess we'll just have two going on.
Yeah, we can leave Matt up.
What's up, Holly?
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Oh, pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Just listening to you guys' conversation.
How long you been with us?
How long have I been on this stream?
Yeah.
I was on the YouTube one for about 5 minutes, and then I took some time to figure out how to get on here, and I jumped on.
Okay, well, just wondering how far you go back, because this is new. We're gonna try and do this more regularly. So obviously you're one of my converts, or our converts from the weekly narrative. So thanks for coming over.
Hey there, Holly.
Hello.
So Holly, have you been watching the trial?
Bits and pieces. I have not sat down and watched the entire thing because, of course, it's not going to be on my local media at all.
Mhm.
And anything that's going to be broadcast up here is going to be a little filtered.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, I've just been catching bits and pieces here and there and watching opinion,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, replays about it. And it's to me, I find it really interesting how when you go to one side and you watch all about how he's going to be, committed of murder and murder in the first and intent, and he's such a horrible human being, and then you switch over to the next one, and it's like, hey guys, reasonably, here's the evidence of what you guys were just talking about the chokeholds and about the knee on the shoulder submission and all that stuff. So it's very, very, very two-sided.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to find more centrist views, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and that's why it's going to be such a shit show if Chauvin does get off. Oh, to me, I feel like it's probably going to be a shit show even if he just gets charged with manslaughter. Because the way the media is painting the picture is that there's just this mountain of evidence against him, and there's no way he's coming out of this.
Well, dude,
And then
we still have people talking about Breonna Taylor was innocent. We still have people saying, "Hands up, don't shoot."
Mhm.
Right? That's like when was that? 2012.
Right.
Hands up, don't shoot. They still say these things. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It only matters what the narrative is. Even if Chauvin was convicted, I'm telling you right now, they would riot. My thing is, I don't think that it's going to be as bad. I don't think it's going to be as bad because Orange Man isn't in office, and they tend to calm down a little bit. They tend to be more brazen when it's a Republican as the president, right? We could talk about the rest of Congress and whatever else, but no matter how little power the Republicans have, it's always the Republicans' fault, even though they've had little power over the last 100 and some odd years, 110, 120 years. They haven't had any real power at all. So it's interesting, but yeah, they're going to riot, man. They're going to riot in celebration, or they're going to riot. The question is, how bad is it going to be, right?
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's definitely going to be the issue. The other thing that's kind of strange is normally when something like this happens, especially when it's a spectacle and someone dies in custody, there's some sort of internal investigation. Now, apparently that's already happened in Minnesota, and they said that Chauvin acted outside of policy, assuming that's how it worked. If they paid off George Floyd's family, I feel like they have to admit that Chauvin acted outside of policy. But here, in trial, they've said that, well, it's kind of up in the air. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. So if he gets found innocent, and part of the reason why he's found innocent is because, it puts some doubt in the jury's mind that he acted within policy or did not act outside of policy. Then what can the police department do after that? Okay, well, they've admitted fault. They've paid George Floyd's family like $10 million or something. They've said that he acted outside of policy. And now they're kind of reneging on that point. what happens.
Thoughts? Holly, Matt, anybody?
So the,
I have some thoughts about how this whole media circus and this whole thing is being played from an outsider's view. To me, it looks like
She's a
The-
Canadian, folks. She's an un-American, and just in
Yeah.
case you weren't aware.
sorry. But, so as I was saying, like from an outsider's view, to me, this looks like the state versus police brutality as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
It's not against Chauvin. He just happens to be the martyr that was,
scapegoat.
this scapegoat for the position. And it's the police brutality, I guess, supporters versus anti-police brutality. That's what it looks like to me. And
I think you're right. There's definitely some kind of political statement to be made here. Like if they were that quick to, if they're going to get on stand and say that, well, maybe he did act within policy, then I have trouble believing they did that much of a thorough internal investigation. I believe they probably saw the video, said, this is really bad for the press, so we're going to get the other side of it. We're going to go ahead and call this police brutality, and we're just going to paint it that picture, and then we're going to throw this guy, or these guys, all four of them really, to the wolves and see what happens. So I think you got a good point there.
yeah, because like look at it this way: if he gets acquitted, then it's look at how evil everything is, and they're going to burn the cities down. If he gets convicted, that proves police brutality, and everyone admits it, and they're going to burn the cities down. So it's a lose-lose situation.
Right, exactly. Matt, do you have anything, man? Because you were getting ready to say something
No,
there.
it seems like that's been the goal, to destroy the Anglosphere's values. Just man, they just throw them under the bus automatically because it might be something. I don't know. Now they're going back on that.
Oh,
Nope.
He disconnected. Oh, he's back. Okay, we'll bring him back in.
Hey guys, a few of you stalking horse who might be in the chat who are listening right now, if you guys want to come in, link is in the description, also in the chat. I put it in the chat there a few minutes ago. Go to the StreamYard link and sit backstage, and we'll bring you in. You can share your ideas. You do not have to use a real avatar or anything, and it can just be audio. No camera needed. All right. Anyways, go for it, Matt.
Post-Enlightenment. They're trying to bring us before. They're trying to remove the Enlightenment, right? The values.
Definitely on the grand scale, there's a lot going on.
It's beyond the Enlightenment, though, Matt, because it's definitely against God and everything else, and we could look at parts of the Enlightenment and say that they didn't have a lot to do with the church, or they were very secular. This is beyond that. This is the Enlightenment never was directly like, oh yeah, God's doesn't exist, the worst thing ever, and nihilism's the answer, and hedonism's the answer. That's what we're pushing towards right now. And on the grander scheme of things, right, is all this libertinism and unaccountability. And then in order to have that, then anyone who wants accountability, anyone who wants, let's say, any sort of hierarchy or any sort of categories, right, any sort of standards, those are the evil people, because they're not allowing me to be free. They're not allowing me to be totally free from responsibility and without care, which is also why the state needs to provide everything, right? And that allows you to have this immoral, hedonistic, nihilistic lifestyle in which your existence basically is this self-perpetuating mantra: is I am the center of the universe and everyone needs to take care of me. That's what they're breeding. And it's what they've been breeding for, like I said, 100 some odd years in the United States specifically, at least since the 60s. But it does go further back.
You're right. Now that was oversimplification, and it's damage. I'm sorry about that.
I'm an over blabifier, so Holly, you have any thoughts?
I tend to agree with you. Like, to be perfectly honest, I'm not a religious person. at all.
Yeah.
But I do, like, I have been to church and I do understand the teachings of different religions, and they all seem to jive in the same way. It's all about the, the do unto others and personal accountability and, the concept of sin and all of that stuff, the 7 deadly sins. And you look around the world right now and it's almost like the worship of the 7 deadly sins. That's just my secular take on it, I guess you could say.
Right.
Hey, Sniper. Guys, call in show Sniper if you want to pop in on the StreamYard. It is in the chat link and below. Anyone that wants to call in. Yeah, Holly, my whole point there was, whoa.
We got another one.
We don't know about you, man. You might have to change that avatar there. It's a little spicy.
Woo!
Who is that in that avatar?
I took a picture real quick. I thought that's what you guys wanted.
Good Lord, man. Well, we do reserve the right to mute anyone or kick them out of the show at any time. So mind your words here. Go for it, brother.
I was just calling because I didn't quite follow what happened. I know you guys were talking about some guy dying or something and getting choked.
Yeah.
When was the last time you watched TV, partner?
No, internet. I don't watch TV. I don't.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Internet. That's right.
We were talking about the George Floyd situation.
I don't think I know. I mean, I've heard the name, but I don't really know what happened.
Nice.
Well, I don't know, man. We can't help you. But aside from that, we kind of started talking about the world and how hedonistic it is, and is getting how it's encouraging everything to be wrong think. Hey, Yiz Gooding. Yiz, if you want to join in, this is a call-in show. Link is in the description there. Did have Don on a little bit earlier. So the interest of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Is this the first time you've seen the show, our show?
It is. I was scrolling around on D Live, and then I realized you guys were on YouTube too. So I went over there. Easier platform.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, you would be our first D Live viewer, other than our friend Yiz, who has her own YouTube channel, and in quite a while, because we got shadow banned basically because we talk about politics from a non-leftist perspective.
Oh, what? You don't do the whole pedophile Jew stuff?
Oh, yeah, that too. So, well, hey, man, if you like us, give us a sub. We normally air Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, but this isn't new. This is our first call-in show. So, other than you being half naked on screen there, I appreciate you calling in.
That's a good picture, though. I like it.
We do like memes. That our show is all about the memes.
That guy's actually one of the biggest fucking memes ever. That is a guy named Tom Pearl.
Tom Pearl. Where's he from?
I think he's somewhere in America, but he used to do. Have you heard of Norm Somerton?
No.
Okay. Well, my show, we just look at fucking weirdos on the internet, and this is one of the biggest. He eats his own shit constantly.
Oh my god! I looked him up on Urban Dictionary just now, and the first thing that pops up was who loves to partake in eating shit. What the fuck?
Holly, any thoughts?
I'm just still reeling over the fact that this person likes to eat their own feces.
I mean, I worked in a jail, so nothing surprises me. I've seen this before. I've seen people eat their own arms. So,
well, I guess nothing shocks me because I've raised 3 children. So,
ooh, yes.
That'll do it too.
Good evening, everyone. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. I see some familiar faces on here. We've got Matt and I see Holly. I don't know the interest of stuff. I don't know that person.
This is Tom Pearl, who apparently eats shit.
Okay.
That made me make a Hank Hill face.
The interest of stuff. You got a first name we can call you? It's a little bit easier. Or
Yeah, Jer works.
Jared. Okay.
What did I walk into? Is this serious?
Well, I don't know.
I think
They were trying to be all serious and talk about George Floyd and Chauvin and all that.
well, I think you were on our Discord, or not Discord, D Live before. I think we talked. You have your own YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, and I stream over there on D Live too.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure I subbed to you a while back because I remember talking to you. So for some reason, it's coming back to me now.
Oh, word.
So pretty sure. In any case, so Yiz, you look like you're ready for bed.
No, I didn't have anything to do today after church, so I've just been chilling, checking on different news and memes to use for my Dragons of Discord show tomorrow. Just taking it easy. And
That's
What's
kind
up,
of why.
Yiz?
That's kind of why we
hi,
chose this
I'm
time
Matt.
slot. Because Tank's like, I'm not busy after church. I have Bible study here in about an hour. But yeah.
Whoa!
Oh, we got Sniper
Everybody's
on?
in.
Hey, it's our buddy
Yeah.
Snapper. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, son, stay off the stream, please. Hey, what's going on, guys? I told you, child noises.
Getting a full house, man. Full house. I like it.
I like your
Well-
studio, bro. That's pretty good setup.
That's a pretty cheap setup, so it is what it is.
Sniper, did you just wake up? Or is this, have you been up all day? Or
I get up at 05, whether I want to or not.
oh,
me
really?
and Snapper have been awake for like 12 hours. I visited his stream like almost a day ago already.
No, every time I've been catching the stream, it's all like super late at night. So
Yeah, well,
Well, that's on Friday.
Yeah.
Mechanical ASMR is Friday night, and then the Sunday morning show is I get up at 05. Well, between 05 and 05:30. By 5:45, I've thrown a link to whoever's coming on. I have a co-host, and then whoever else is coming on. And
Is
then at
Firewise
6,
your co-host still?
he is now going to be my co-host officially. And then at 6:15, we're live. So, and it goes between an hour and an hour and a half. And that's the show where we're good boys and we don't do nothing. Mechanical ASMR is the one where 2 out of the 3 of them have had to be deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know when I randomly came on there the other week, I should not have been on because I had way too many drinks.
Wait. Let's see if I can recreate this.
Probably.
No,
you also
literally,
have
you did
to.
that.
You also have to get kicked out of the StreamYards about 5 or 6 times and try to get back in.
By your own computer.
And then I switched to my phone and I did stupid stuff that kicked me out too. So
And
job.
indeed,
Good
there you
job.
go.
Well,
The boomerism is real.
yeah,
We
yeah.
we were just talking. You guys probably haven't heard about it yet because you don't keep up with like stuff that's going on. But there's a trial right now over with Derek Chauvin and George Floyd. Have you heard about this?
Minneapolis gonna burn.
Maybe once or twice, yeah.
Minneapolis gonna burn.
We were just kind of talking
And-
about before you guys came on. We were talking about kind of the anatomy of how you choke someone and
I
how
I have a pro tip for investors.
Go ahead.
But you need to invest in construction companies in the state of Minnesota.
Oh God.
So when
insurance-
it comes to choking people and denying them air, crisis of breath is a very specific thing. And if someone is able to complain about not being able to breathe for 10 minutes, they can breathe.
Right.
Agreed.
Like that's just and I'm not being a jerk about it. I'm just saying if you have the ability to constantly speak and make noises out of your speak hole, then you are getting air. And I'm not saying that like I for the purposes of this conversation, let's just assume that I hate all cops and I hate Derek Chauvin. If
Right.
I'm just talking about what led to that man's death, all of the evidence shows that even if no police officer touched him, he would have been dead in a couple of hours because of all the drugs. So, like the autopsy show this, the blood, the lab report shows this. He even had a close to overdose amount of metabolized fentanyl, let alone active fentanyl that hadn't metabolized yet. So he had like a double lethal overdose amount and a bunch of meth and other drugs in his system too. So
Yeah, Don
it's
popped
like,
in. Don popped in for about 5 minutes till we got all robo voice on us, and he was saying the same thing. Like the metabolized fentanyl alone would have killed most people, 7 times over.
I mean,
and
you're
the
not
fact
wrong.
that he already had an underlying heart condition, probably from a life of bad diet and using drugs. So
Yeah.
when you have someone like that and they have a giant speedball cocktail of a bunch of powerful drugs, I mean, that's basically a death sentence for even a healthy person, let alone someone who already has a weak heart or some kind of other comorbidity to go with that.
Well, and that's
Good.
what I was saying earlier is that I can buy that George Floyd took a bunch of drugs, took a bunch of drugs, has a coronary artery, poor health, basically.
He's a fat body.
Yeah, so you.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he's like a regular American as far as health.
He's
goes.
also
Relevant.
He's
And then on
black,
top of
like-
that, you had a lot of heavy drug usage in a life.
Right.
That's really hard on a person's health, especially their heart.
I
medically
can.
speaking,
Well, there's
black
also-
folks have higher heart disease. It's just you know.
Well, yeah,
so-
you're not wrong. Some of it's genetic, some of it is cultural.
But we're talking
right,
about an
right.
individual here, so you can't
But-
just say he's black, so he has this. Like group metrics and individual metrics, they don't predict the other. They just show you where you should look with the data.
Right.
Well, there's two things to this thing that I had explained to me in ridiculous detail. Oh, Tank, a man after my own heart. All right. Well, if we're gonna do that, then I'm gonna do this. There we go. Moving forward, he did uppers and downers at the same time, and I have a feeling the way this is going to go is he was already on the uppers and he swallowed the downers for the dealer. And
I don't know. Have you ever speedballing's fun, man? He might have been doing it that might have been his plan all along, and he just had a bunch of extra, so he took it. Like, speedballing is where it's at if you want a good night.
I've heard of there's some
that does weird blood pressure things, and I had this explained to me by a sciencey guy in very excruciating detail that went way over my head, but basically he was fucking his blood pressure beyond all recognition. And keep in mind that the human body largely runs on hydraulics.
right.
Well, let's talk to Holly and Matt again because you guys all have streams, so and they're actual colors in. So, Holly, any thoughts? I know we're kind of rehashing some of the same stuff.
Well, I don't want to get all conspiracy theory, but there was something that I heard about how he had been poked before this all happened to him, and that could have been a possibility that led towards his demise.
Poked with what?
Jabbed.
Oh, like vaccine shit. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, there goes the YouTube.
I didn't say it out loud.
Well, the Koufax wasn't out, so to have it been announced. But he did have coronavirus 30 days prior to that, so technically would have been a COVID death if it wasn't so big.
Yeah, so that must have been what I had heard, because there are the side effects of contracting it, right? It does affect your cardiovascular system. If you are already compromised due to lifestyle choices, that would mean that he was more susceptible to everything that happened to him. The high stress situation of being arrested alone is taxing on the heart.
Right. And that's kind of why I kind of see a little bit different than like I think a lot of people do. I can fully believe that George Floyd took those drugs with poor health and may have lived if he didn't get an altercation with the police. You know, I've seen people do drugs and be unhealthy is basically what I'm saying. But the issue is, was the altercation he got into with the police his fault or the police's fault? Now, I'm not a pro cop guy very much myself, but if someone says, "Hey man, get in the back of the car," and you start acting a fool and they do a restraint on you that looks like was well within their rights to do, in fact, was under what they could have done, then I have trouble believing that it's their fault, even if it contributed to their death, even if that struggle contributed to his death. I have trouble hanging them on the hook for that. If that makes sense.
Oh, we lost interest. He's I don't think he wants to talk about Floyd.
Okay.
It was well. He was a little bit spicy anyway, so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what about the eye candy?
Yeah, right. He did bring some levity in. Yiz, you're muted if you're trying to talk to us.
I just said, what was he talking about? That was so bad. I came in right when you guys invited
No,
me.
he wasn't really. We were just. I'm pretty sure I've chatted with him before in the past on our D Live. He saw us there, came in here, did the call in, and he has his own odd YouTube stream.
Okay.
So, but he's not like we were quite sure who he was at first because of the avatar. We're like, what in the world's going on here?
Yeah,
But,
you take a risk when you pull random people. Oh, where Matt? He
Matt's
got
dropped
disconnected
a couple
again.
times, though.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, we're bringing back.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he's still
Welcome back, Matt.
Thank you.
And we don't really know how we're doing this college stream. We're just kind of pulling it out of our ass right now, anyway. So
Relevant. I am actually going to not just drop. I'm going to say goodbye because, like I said, children things. I've already had to shoo them away like a half a dozen times.
Hey, Sniper. See you later.
I shield you guys in the server, so hopefully one or two of our people will wander by. And Tank, since Bill made a horribly drunk appearance on Mechanical ASMR, I'm going to sign you up for next weekend.
On a Friday, next Friday,
late at night for you guys.
Yeah, I can do it on Friday. That's fine.
All
Dude,
right.
I am also. I'm obviously. I'm.
I'll pop in when I can, but that's really late for me.
Sniper, I'm in the server at any point you want me to come on the show. I will come on the show because I'm a night owl, generally speaking. So might have to do it through my phone, but
Slightly less yelling until the wife starts screaming at you from the other room next time.
I know. Well, slightly less drunk too. Probably. I don't drink anymore except for on Wednesday nights, and I'm like a 6-pack.
Right. One thing I do have to warn your folks: if you do come on and come around and decide to watch Mechanical ASMR, do not do what my wife and my roommate did last night or Friday night and play what is called the relevant drinking game, which is every time I say the word relevant, you drink.
Oh God.
They both wound up throw up drunk by the end.
Woo! Good time.
Where does you saying that come from? Are you mocking leftists?
I got it from Don.
Oh, you got it from Don. Okay.
I got it from Don.
I've only heard people that are native Californians say that with frequency. Did he bring it from California?
More or less. He used to say Indeed, but not as much, and so I infected him with Indeed to the point he says it all the time. He infected me with Relevant, and the other one that he's pretty bad about is the In the World Of, which I try to fight it and say like in the realm of or in the universe of or whatever. But the mind virus is there, and there's nothing I can do about it. That said, you guys have a lot of fun. Everybody watch the Bill and Tank. Everybody watch the Bill and Tank. It's the best content, the most amazing content. You want to do it. Get some.
We definitely have a highly polished show. Highly polished. The interest of stuff said Yiz gets to be topless and not considered too spicy.
I'm not topless. Look, I'm wearing a top.
That's eunuch privilege, brother. Eunuch privilege. But thank you for coming on. You can come back on.
You don't have to drop out. Like I said before, we're just kind of doing this. We don't really have a method to this madness. We just wanted to have people a chance.
We'll figure it out over the week.
Yeah, if they want to call in and say some shit.
Yeah, let's talk. We want to have conversations, build communities, all that good stuff. I want to hear more from Matt and Holly, honestly.
Sure.
Yeah, because the three of us do enough talking. Matt, you got something?
Yiz remarked in our private chat, Lomax has been on point with the coverage in our Discord. She's right.
Yeah, our buddy Lomax, he's in my Discord server. He's the one that made the awesome By the Dawn's Early Light intro for my videos. And all throughout the trial for like the last 12 days now or whatever, he's been putting big snippets of what's going on play by play as it unfolds. It's been really cool getting to read that every day. Mm-hmm. And we very much appreciate his work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shit. The thing that I'm not gonna say pissed me off, but what was really weird for me was the expert guy, Tobin or however you say his name. He just like, yeah, a knee on the back will totally crush somebody's windpipe. And
how?
I'm like, I don't understand how people get away with saying shit. I mean, I guess your defense attorney does.
It's that kung fu magic, like in the old Hong Kong movies, where you like punch them in the knee and their ear explodes. Like,
do you see how far my windpipe can be moved? Yeah. Like, and it gets worse. Like, the more you train, the more you get choked out, the more flexible that. I know guys that can like pull their windpipe around the side of their neck. You can't crush someone's windpipe that way.
It's worth pointing out that on a recent Crowder stream, one of the Louder with Crowder morning shows, Crowder and multiple people got down on the floor, and they had fake handcuffs that they would put them on, and then the biggest people in the room took turns putting both knees right in the middle of their back and putting all their weight on them, and everybody that laid down, even though it was uncomfortable, could still breathe and talk.
Yeah.
So
from doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, there are a lot of guys that can put you on the ground without even touching your neck and apply the right kind of downward force onto your rib cage and make you feel like you are going to die. And I've been in situations where I was happy to give up a position just so I could get a breath on some of these guys. It's miserable, and they make it miserable because that's part of the sport. So I could see someone being in very poor health. This is why every BJJ gym makes you sign a waiver before you come in. Very poor health, get an altercation like that. Something restricts their breathing, even if it's not that much, and it'd be enough to break the camel's back.
Certainly, I'm not saying that Chauvin and the other officers being on him didn't somehow contribute to the lessening of his breath condition. What I'm saying is, they weren't in the wrong. They were doing what they were trained to do.
Exactly.
And as we've seen from the body cam footage, he was already having trouble breathing and voicing that before Chauvin was even on scene. Before he was even on scene, before Floyd was even on the ground, he was complaining that he was having shortness of breath and couldn't breathe. They put him in the car, and because he wanted to be taken out of the car, they obliged. They took him out of the car and they laid him down because that's what their training was to do. When somebody is clearly out of their mind on drugs, you contain them. And the reason that they use that positioning and lean on people is because it doesn't restrict airflow, it doesn't hurt them, and it keeps them restrained without seriously hurting or damaging them.
It's actually one of the basic rules you learn in martial arts is like the head is where the body follows, therefore restrain the head, and you've restrained the body. Right.
Yeah, because if you're on someone's back across their shoulder blades, they've got a lot of leverage to push up. They don't if you're on their neck or on their head, like just like you're saying. And part of me thinks a lot of this is just that we're in such a privileged society now that we're not used to physical confrontations, and that anytime we see a physical confrontation, it feels like it's a lot more extreme than actually what it is.
I agree with you.
I'll see like it happens all the time in the prison system. When I used to, I worked in prison and stuff. There'll be like a little scuffle, like a fight will happen, and people will be like, "Oh, he beat that guy's ass." I'm like, two dudes throwing hands. One dude gets a couple more licks than the other guys. Maybe some guys gets his nose busted. He didn't get his ass beat. He got up and walked away. You haven't seen an ass beating if you think that that's an ass beating, And it's kind of
I've seen a lot of violence, and I grew up in it. Like I'm comfortable with violence and talking about it, and that's why I know that it takes a lot to make somebody not be able to breathe to the point that they're going to have serious health crisis, because you have to either physically restrict airflow here or mash their torso with such force in precise ways to where their diaphragm and lungs can't operate. And from what we've seen, and from every direction of all of the footage, that didn't happen to George Floyd.
Well, I would agree. Yes, there is one other side of this I will take, and it's a little of a devil's advocate point, and but I don't think it was necessarily anything Floyd would have been experiencing. But when you are having a hard time breathing, there is a psychosomatic thing that happens within your body because of the panic, where you start to have a panic attack, you start to hyperventilate, and then actually hyperventilation causes hypoxia. You do get that, but I don't think that Floyd was panicking in any way, shape, or form.
Who knows with all the drugs he was on? Who knows?
Right, that's what I'm saying. And I've been around a lot of people coming off drugs many a times, and I've seen it. Had to deal with people who were in the middle of ODing, had to hold down and stuff.
You said you don't think he was panicking?
No. To me, he looked like a normal drug addict. Like, oh, I'm feeling the drugs. What's going on? I can't.
Yeah, I've been around a lot of people that took too many drugs, and they act like that.
From the police action or someone on his, because when someone's panicking, when you're holding them down, you know what they're doing? They're yelling and screaming and flailing their arms, and they're going, help, I can't breathe. That's what they're doing when you're trying to hold someone and pin someone down, and they're panicking because of, they're trying to be submitted or whatever. They're trying to be controlled. That's what people do who don't want to be controlled. Floyd was just kind of going, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Most of his resistance was passive, and I think it was more of the drug experience. And he just didn't want to go with the police.
I think it could be argued
that he said that. Oh, excuse me.
Go ahead.
He said that I took too many drugs. I'm going to get the quote on that from Lomax.
Right. And I've
he said almost exactly that, if not exactly that.
We all have probably had too many drinks at some point, or if we have a drug history or whatever, I've probably gone too far at some point. And we all remember at that point, you didn't care about what was going on in the rest of the world. You only cared about how you were feeling in the moment until you passed out or threw up or whatever happened that made you feel better, right? So this idea that Floyd was kind of in the state where he was reacting to the police, I think it's a little bit of a misnomer. A lot of people should think more clearly about any time they've, again, been too intoxicated, one shape or another, right? So, Holly, you got anything to say? Because you've been a little quiet here.
Oh yeah, no, I've just been listening, and of course I'm a polite Canadian, so I don't want to cut anybody off.
You got to get it, girl. You got to get it.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking about, because I'm an asthmatic, right? So I have been in situations where I actually can't breathe. Mm-hmm. And they're like what you were saying, Bill, about the struggle indicator. Like when you get to that point where you can't breathe, there's that biological reflex that kicks in and you struggle. And like I've done martial arts. I did Muay Thai for 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And nice.
That means Holly is probably going to be able to kick just about anyone's butt out there.
Hey, it comes in handy when I have to get into the stance and intimidate people.
I mean, 6 months of serious Muay Thai training is going to make you pretty hardcore. In any case, 2 years, 5 years.
When I was talking about the panic, I was thinking more before they put him on the ground when he's in the back of the car and he was yelling and flailing around.
No, I wouldn't call that panic. That, like you were saying, that's basically the drug freak out.
Yeah.
That's not pure panic. Like when you're choking, there's that moment where your body panics. Like you get the muscle twitches, you get the wide eyes, you get the gasping, the all those motions that the body goes through that are they're more physical, they're not mental, right? But when you're going through something like you're saying with when you're way too drunk or you're way too high, that's more of a freak out. That's when you start more exclaiming like, oh geez, I'm fucked up, or oh, I'm too fucked up, or I gotta go home, or whatever you
and the world kind of closes in on you, right? And again, it's you in the moment versus whatever's going on in the outside world. That's my experience with those things, and anyone I've ever seen or talked to.
Thank you, Matt. Matt just shared the quote from the minutes. The question that Nelson asked was, does it sound like he says, I ate too many drugs? I can't make that out. Steiger replied. Nelson let the subject drop after that.
Yeah, I listened to it. To me, it sounded like he said, I ate too many pills.
Or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like, or I definitely heard I ate too many something. Now, I've heard people argue that he said, I ain't ate no drugs, maybe, I don't know. We know that he did.
I don't care what he says. I care what the lab report and the 3 different autopsy teams said.
Hey, question real quick for everybody, off topic. So I just looked at the YouTube page. I'm pretty sure we had 6 or plus more likes. Now we're back down to 2. Is that the same for everybody else?
Let me refresh.
I refreshed twice now. That's really weird.
I refreshed and it went from 5 to 2.
Yep.
Okay. Well, it happens.
Thanks, YouTube. Thank you.
No, dude, like, trust me, like, going back 6 or 8 months ago, I'll make a video, I'll leave it up, when I come back the next day, it'll say like 488 views. I refresh it to or 488 views, like 100 likes or something. I'll refresh it to check comments. The likes are cut in half, and there's like 200 missing views. Like YouTube just does that.
It's insane. Well, we the other week on our Friday night stream when you were on, got up to what 209 subs, which is sweet. Sat at that for a couple days, and then I look at the sub count. Like after 2 or 3 days, it's 207, and that's what they always do. And I'm not big enough. They're going to take a lot, but it's just like 2 at a time. I gain 2, they take 2, and it's like, what's going on here? Come on.
I don't know if it has to do with that, but keep in mind they are purging a lot of accounts too. So like Twitter's doing it, Discord's doing it. Like they're cracking down because they know that if we're allowed to talk and organize, we're going to win, and that's why they're trying to keep us from having a voice.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, Matt Christensen had a no streaming strike this past week, which I was really surprised.
Speaking of the Matt and Blonde show, is still on for tonight. It'll just be on other platforms. So everybody that likes to watch it, just you can't view it on YouTube. I'm going to listen on DLive.
Yeah, go to DLive or Trovo, and Matt will upload it later on to Rumble and BitChute and all that.
Oh, I might listen on Trovo. I like Trovo's interface, but it has problems sometimes. Sometimes it gets audio video sync out of whack. Like it's.
I've tried to tell Matt to get on. I've tried to tell Matt to get on Entropy, but whatever.
Yeah, I've told him to.
Yeah. So, crap. Oh, who was the other one? Like Sargon, the Lotus Eaters got banned for a week again.
Yep.
What have they done? Like they've been really, really like I feel milquetoast.
It doesn't matter.
Their opinions,
It doesn't matter what you do. If the ear at the door hears something that they can in any way justify, which means literally anything, to give you a problem, all it takes is somebody flipping that switch. That's all it takes.
Right. Hey, Shelly, or otherwise known as the commenter, formerly known as Bunny. If you want to, this is a call-in show. Links are in the description. You can join us. You don't have to be on camera. You can just use an avatar. You can join us on the stream, and you can do it through your phone if you want, if you're interested. Otherwise, you can just listen to the conversation. So
Holly, it's nice to hear you speak. You said you're Canadian. I have a couple of Canadian followers myself. Whereabouts in Canada do you live, if you can say? You can be general if you want.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm in Alberta.
Oh, okay. Do you like it? Do you live rural? Because I know that most of Canada is rural.
No, I am in Calgary, in a big city.
Oh,
so
okay.
1 million plus cities. So still, in the middle of the big city, living in suburbia. But
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but my big dream is to live more rural, but I do need to be closer to a city because I am separated from my daughter's father. So
I'm sorry to hear that too.
It's it's been a 10 years long road, but we have a great relationship now, and we're excellent at co-parenting and all that stuff. So the decision has been made that I want to live really close to her so we can, co-parent, and it's been working out great. But no,
I'm glad to hear that, because children need both their parents, and I'm glad that, despite the problems, I'm glad that you two have worked it out, and your child has both parents.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And her stepmom and her stepdad, I guess, we all have a great relationship, and life happens, and but we've worked it out, and it's a good situation. But enough about that. No,
Okay.
I live in Alberta, which is kind of conservative Canada, I guess you could say.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah.
One of my Canadian followers that talks to me, she's also in Alberta somewhere. I don't know where though.
Yeah, no, our city though has a mayor that's very, very SJW, and has taken our city from a booming economy, oil executive, lots of money city to kind of a crap hole right now. So
That's what the anti-Western agenda wants.
yeah, Holly, I was going to ask you as a Canadian, what do you think about America as maybe being the last vestige of freedom for the Anglosphere, the Western English-speaking nations? Because New Zealand and Australia have lost their mind. Canada seems to be losing its mind, and the UK is a prison state, so
Also, Canada's being heavily invaded by China at multiple levels.
yeah. So
Oh,
what do you think about some of these things?
Well, it's funny because growing up in Canada, we always had that American envy, right? So there was always that American envy, and when I would visit America as a kid, it always seemed like, you know, the land of golden opportunity and going to Disneyland, and Canada just seemed so much smaller, right? And, you know, growing up in school and learning about the American government, how your constitution works, and the three branches of government, checks and balances, your electoral college. I hate to say this, but I think it's far superior to the system that we're using.
I think most of us agree with that too, but it's not adhered to very often anymore.
No, well, that's why I asked that question when I was watching Weekly Narrative, because I do believe that your constitution is so very fragile right now, and it's been chipped away over decades to the point where, you know, shall not be infringed just doesn't matter anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, like any structure or system or document, no matter how great it is, without moral, caring, devoted people to perpetuate those ideas and those structures, they won't exist. And people who have a mind to subvert and take that apart will do it. And that's what's been happening in the last century.
Oh, yeah. Like you look at Canada's Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which was modeled after the American kind of concept of your constitution. There are so many amendments that have been put on that document that it basically takes away any. I mean, if you look at in Alberta right now, what's happening with that church, there's a church, I think it's north of Edmonton, that
I've seen it. I've seen it, Holly. It's all blocked off. I have pictures of it. I was going to put it on the show Wednesday.
Yeah, the RCMP came, and well, the poor pastor, he was arrested and thrown in jail for refusing to comply. And there's a statute in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the freedom to assemble for religious celebrations. I'm bastardizing it, but they kept pulling up that charter and saying, no, we're allowed to assemble, and it's actually against the law for somebody to interrupt a religious ceremony or gathering. But that's been superseded by the Alberta Healthcare Doctrine, I guess you can say.
May I say something a little Fed posty to that, or would you rather I not?
No.
No, I'm not talking to you, Holly. This is not your channel. I'm asking.
Did you have your banner? Hey, by the way, real quick, before Yiz says something, Fed post, and we get all the fake likes I just added taken away because I have like a zillion accounts. I just added 8 likes. If you guys want to go check to see if you had likes before, if you're still watching, you know,
let me refresh and see
unclick and re-click, see if we can get those back up, because that's ridiculous. We had like at least 6.
No, I'm seeing 8 now.
Yeah, well, that's all me.
Oh.
I'm just saying, I don't normally do that, but I hate in the middle of the stream. YouTube just like, well, let me just take four of your
again. Let me preface this by saying I am not condoning or saying people should do lone wolf crazy stuff. I like, you know, the Christchurch shooter and all that. I think that's negative behavior. None of us should do that. But I think that with the way that things are in the places that are controlled, that have police officers, mayors, district attorneys, etc., that completely defy Anglosphere common law type of ideas like freedom to assemble, freedom of speech. This is going to inevitably end up with there's going to have to be violence against the people who are perpetrating the removal of our rights. And I think that if people want to fight to have their rights in these awful cities, they're going to have to beef it up with these cops when they come to take their rights away. Like, and again, I don't think that we should abolish the police or anything crazy like that, but you have to fight evil where there's evil if you want to make a stand. And I don't necessarily think you should make a stand. I encourage people to get away from these cities and to fortify rural places and to not fight. But for those that want to stay in these cities and keep the battle there, unless you're willing to stand up to these cops and actually resist them or actively fight them, then why would the power structure stop taking your rights if they know you're not going to put up a fight? Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Why do you think that they give the Muslims what they want? Because they know they'll burn down the fucking city if they don't.
What I was going to ask Holly about is how are they treating the Muslims? Are they going after them in Canada? We saw this disparity in New York City with the Jews and the Muslims, where they went after the Jews hardcore, but the Muslims they kind of let do whatever they wanted because they're afraid. They are literally afraid.
And so this is the thing. Like, do you think that these crooked mayors and these corrupt DAs, what do you think that they would respond the same if after this recent church arrest, if like 100 angry fathers with shotguns went and killed 20 police officers and burned down the precinct? Do you think maybe they would get the message? And again, I'm not saying that people should do that. I'm just saying until you give people in power a reason to fear you, then why would they?
Well, across our country in Montreal, I think it is right now, because Montreal went into complete lockdown. They have started rioting in the streets every night since the lockdown. And then they put in a curfew, 8 p.m. curfew. And police are patrolling the streets and arresting and ticketing people that were out after the curfew. So people just started going out into the streets in droves, so many that it overwhelms the system. So they can't ticket and they can't arrest everyone.
Good.
And of course, it's in Canada, so it's fairly polite, and of course we don't have firearms up here.
Well, you have some. You just don't have, like, it's not as enshrined as it is here.
And then Trudeau just signed a bill the other year, though, or whatever he did, executive order to basically say, nothing.
Don't get me started about that.
Right, because the one shooter, was Nova Scotia? Is that where it was at?
It was a small town in eastern Canada. He obtained weapons illegally.
Indeed, Matt. Matt just shared a good Thomas Jefferson quote.
Yeah,
when the government fears the people, there's liberty. When the people fear the government, there's tyranny.
Yeah. So going back to Montreal, like people are starting to fight against the police, right? And not fight physically. Well, I'm sure there's physical fighting, but not going out and attacking the police and burning stuff down. They're basically just showing up and marching in the streets to the point where the system is overwhelmed and they can't ticket them all.
Yeah, I think that is an acceptable ethical way to fight. But what I'm saying is, if that proves unsuccessful, we are going to have to escalate if we want to maintain these cities. But for over a year now, as soon as the riots first started a year ago, I said, this is it. The time to abandon these cities is now. Remove yourselves, anyone who has the money and the family and the connections to do it, get out of these cities and start fortifying rural America, because like the game is on now. And what we need to do is to let these things collapse. Like, people need to see where this leads. And I know that's an ugly thing to say, but I think staying there and fighting is going to, I don't know. I just think that removing and letting them collapse and preparing for what comes next is the wise move right now. That's why I encourage people to do that. I
kind of agree with you on that, yes. Osis, thanks for coming on, bud.
Hi, Osis.
Got anything to say, man? I know you just kind of cut in here.
What's happening?
Uh-oh.
All right, no, okay, Don's back. Is Don back?
Like a genie, like a long-bearded genie with firearms. I posted 3 times and Don appeared.
Yeah. Is Don back? Do we have audio on Don?
Well, we're not hearing Osis or Don. I don't know what's going on.
Uh-oh.
But I'll leave them up because I have that authority, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it doesn't say that they're muted. It says that they're hot mics.
Make sure your mics are the appropriate settings, and don't do boomer stuff like I do and have the wrong mic set up as the default. I would assume Don's doing this through his phone.
Yeah, he's still in old Fort Lauderdale, which, by the way, is a dope city to go get drunk in if anyone's inclined to go get drunk in a city somewhere.
Tank's priorities.
I had a 12-hour layover in Fort Lauderdale, and it's one of the most ridiculous times of my life.
It's funny because it was not that great of a place for a while, and then it got to be kind of a hit place a little bit in the 80s, I think, and then it went downhill a little bit again. And I don't know. I like Fort Lauderdale. I think it's nice, clear water. Get that.
I have visited Florida several times, and I've been to several of their major cities, and I don't like Florida. It is too hot, too humid, too crowded.
We still have Osis, but no Don. So
Don just sent me a text. He said apparently his phone and StreamYards don't get along.
That's fair enough. He is.
Yeah. Like I like the people I meet from Florida. Like Matt, you're from Florida, right? Like I know you drove up from Florida, but you're born and raised in Florida, right?
No, I'm North Dakota. I'm in Florida most of my life, though.
Oh, okay. Well, most of the people that I know from Florida are good people. It's just I wouldn't want to live there. That's just me. But there are worse places to live.
Yeah, I don't like the humidity. Same temperature in California is feels like 30 degrees cooler.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when I lived in the Southwest desert, man, it was like it would be 100 degrees on the thermometer, but it was nice and comfy because you'd be in the shade and with a nice breeze, it's like a comfortable 65. But you get out into the sun and it'll melt your trash can.
All right, I have Michael Jordan fans are the worst NBA fans then, and they're asking, hey, does this program take any subject? And if so, how do you call in then? Well, the link is in the description. I will say this, if you say anything too spicy that we do not like, that will destroy our channel in an instant, you will be kicked off in an instant. So mind your manners, mind your P's and Q's. Tank can mute you, whatever else. But go in the link in the description, StreamYard's link, hit the thing. You can talk to us. We're a cultural, political show, generally speaking.
If you're going to Fed post or talk about a quote-unquote dangerous subject, just be careful with your word choices. We can pretty much talk about anything if you're careful with your words.
Yeah, just be polite. And by the way, Osis, if you want to try and get out and come back in, that may work. If you have not, if you're on your phone, try your laptop or something, man. Because I'd love to hear from you because you are definitely someone I like chatting with. So please try another route. And I'm trying to figure out the deal with Don because he's messaging me. Sadly, no laptop with him.
One thing that's nice about Florida, though, is very free state. That's why I want to stay here.
That's good. The Universe Galaxy. Hello.
The Universe Galaxy. What's up, boss?
Hey, how you doing? I'm actually the guy in the chat room with the name Michael Jordan fans or the worst NBA fans. Then, how you doing?
Hello.
Are they really the worst though?
If I told you the whole story, it'll probably bore you. But just to give you an idea, I used to work for I actually used to work for the NBA. I had a very popular page, and there was a whole story about them. And I got to the point where I literally, just so you think I'm not trolling or joking, I literally made a page that you found that I was writing to you on. It's literally called Michael Jordan fans are the worst NBA fans. They really are the worst, man. You have no idea.
That's funny. So what was the topic you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, what's the question?
Yeah, sure. So what I usually do is I like to call in different programs and bring up different topics. That's why I was asking you. I've got, you can decide if you like any of them. It's your program. I respect it. I've got 4 different topics. You tell me if you like any of them. And if you don't, no hard feelings. I leave. I go to another program. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
Sure. Okay.
So go ahead. The first one you already know. Michael Jordan fans are the worst NBA fans. It's even if you're not into sports, I'll bring up a lot of things that you'll go, wow, that's some pretty weird stuff about them. They're the worst NBA fans. The second topic, this is where we get more serious. I've come to the conclusion as an independent that in general, Republicans are worse than Democrats. The third topic, when you buy meat, cheese, milk, or pretty much anything that comes from an animal, do you ever stop and think that you're literally giving your money to an industry that's literally torturing and killing animals? And the last and final topic, when a guy graduates high school, can someone tell me what religion or where in science, either one, because most people get their values from religion and or science, where does it tell you that when a guy graduates high school, he's supposed to stop being attracted to other girls in high school then? Those are my 4 subjects.
Oh, those are all spicy.
I have good things to say to all of them, but what topic you guys want to start with? It's your show.
Honestly, I'd like to hear about the Republican versus Democrat.
Oh, all right.
Okay. I always hope that they'll pick the last 2 because those are my particular ones that I like.
Yeah,
I was going to say the last one. I like the last one there because that's That's a
Yeah, I have a lot to say on that topic.
Well,
Yes, so
whatever.
do I.
Do whatever. I don't care. That's
But
just my topic.
honestly, I know what it's like to have a show. So I respect that it's your show. You pick whatever one, if anyone, you like, and I hope you just give me a chance to explain myself. So if you disagree,
Well, Bill,
because
can I jump in on
I've
that
been
fourth
this.
one? 'Cause I have something quick to say about it.
Yeah,
Go
sure.
ahead,
I
yeah.
just what I wanted to know is basically whenever people disagree with me, because I debate these topics all the time. I know everything you're going to come up with, and I have an answer. It's really a matter of are you going to give me a chance, and are you going to be open minded? But I hope you don't hang up and act rude. You know, that's my only thing. I just hope you're
Oh, yeah.
like
We're,
fair
we're
and
not like
nice.
that, man. We enjoy conversation. So I
Thank
like that last topic. What'd you say, Yiz? What did you favor?
Yeah, I've actually talked about this a lot with people before about statutory laws and how, age of consent's different in different places in the world, 14,
Right.
15, 18, whatever. Here's the thing.
Mhm.
When it comes to having a law is ideally, a law is how a society comes together to say, hey, we're going to make this generality because we want to enforce our morality, right? Like that's what it's all about. And when you
disagree.
have statutory laws, there's nothing quote unquote wrong about a 19-year-old man being sexually aroused by a 13-year-old girl if she looks attractive. That is just that's nature at play right there. And
I
there's
agree.
nothing we can do about it. And there's nothing that there's no amount of medicine or anything else or propaganda or religion that's going to make a regular healthy young man not be sexually attracted to a healthy sexually mature young lady. Whether she's 12 or 18, hormones want to do what hormones want us to do to procreate, right? Like you can't stop that. But the reason we have laws is we try to enforce our morality and to prevent harm. Preventing harm and crime is the reason we have laws. And so you got to draw the line somewhere. And that's why we have what we have. And while ethically and in the field of nature, there's nothing quote unquote wrong with a 19-year-old wanting to have sex with a 13-year-old and make a child with them. Like there's nothing quote unquote wrong about that, but that we do need to have legalities on the books and we do need to try to protect people from sexual predators and other shit. So I understand why we have the laws they do. I think they're good. I wish they were enforced better, but there's no denying the nature of the beast, so to speak. So that's where I stand on that.
Okay, so you said a lot there. I'll try my best to dissect each thing you said. I hope you give me a fair chance to dissect everything.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, dissect all you want.
All right, thank you. So number one, I actually love the fact that you acknowledge it's normal. Most people, when they tell me I'm wrong, they either call you a pedophile, an abuser, and a weirdo, and then they start making things up. You actually did something different that was unique. You acknowledge it's normal, but you still want the laws there. So that's why at least I want to give you credit. You're a little bit different. Now let me just dissect what you did here. So number one, there's lots of laws that are made and not made. And just because the law is made or not made doesn't mean it's morally right. Your point is you have to have a line somewhere. Yeah, you have to have a line somewhere. That I agree. You have to protect children. That I agree. You have to protect them from predators, abusers, rapists, and all that. All that we agree. The question is twofold. One, why are they drawing the line so high? Because protecting children doesn't mean you make the law 30. So if you want to protect children, you don't go, let's make the law 40. If you're worried about people being taken advantage of, you could be worried about 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds. There's lots of girls in high school and college who get used for their virginity, who get taken advantage of, who are pressured into sex. All sorts of horrible things happen. So if you're concerned about the young people, why draw the line at 18? Why not just keep going higher, 19, 20, 21? Third point, when you say society comes together and makes a law, that's not true.
That's the same point, bro.
Well, hang on. Society did not come together because, first of all, the law was not made the same way, for the same day, for the same reason, and it's not even the same in America. Most people think the law is 18, and they're wrong. The law in most of America, as you know, I know you know this, in most of America it's 16. In some states it's 17. In some states it's 18. And as you pointed out, the world has different numbers. So society has not come together and have one law. And last thing,
well,
if I'm wrong, let's say everything I told you.
Different, yeah.
But you're right. I get it. But last thing, let's say I'm wrong in everything I told you. Let's say everything is complete BS and I'm wrong. The hypocrisy bothers the garbage out of me. A human being in America will tell you, oh, they're children. They're not mentally ready, physically ready. They don't know what they're doing. And the same person has no problem if a child has a job, if a child drives a car, if a child wears makeup, if a child has a boyfriend, if a child is a supermodel, if a child joins the NBA, if a child commits murder and he's trialed as an adult, if a child basically is a supermodel on a cover of Rolling Stone, like Britney Spears when she was 17. And then how many times have there been programs like Saved by the Bell, 90210, horror movies with teenage girls, where they sexualize teenage girls all the time? And that same guy will go, I love these programs, I love these horror movies, I love teenage pornography, and they'll hit on teenage girls, and then they'll tell everybody, yeah, you're a sicko, it's wrong, it's weird, it's strange.
No, I get it. Yeah,
It's
like
a
I'm right there
contradiction.
with you, man.
Contradiction.
I'm just saying that like you can't fix laws. Like
Right.
like we barely even have the power right now to have basic human rights in this country. All this other stuff I stopped caring about years ago because like we got bigger fish to fry right now. So like but I hear you with the hypocrisy, dude. Like 15, 20 years ago, I cared about that shit. I stopped caring about it in the last 6 or 8 years because there's bigger fish to fry. But I'm right there with you. I hear you.
I think
I
it's not
disagree.
like you're
There's
just,
bigger fish to fry. I'm sorry. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
well, I'm just saying, it sounds like you're just an honest person examining this honestly. Like we all know, there are young women who are underage who look like they're of age, and men can't tell what your age is, period. And on many of the issues that you brought up about all these people's hypocrisy, it's because in some places, some people want to infantilize you, and in other places, they want to empower you.
Yep.
And when it comes to sex, that's one of the places that we tend to over infantilize because it's taboo. The two biggest taboos in the world are killing, death, murder, right, and sex. They're the two biggest taboos. That's just
But there's a couple of things that the both sides, the left and right, does. I'll give you an example. The left will tell you an 18-year-old gay guy can have sex with another 18-year-old gay guy, but an 18-year-old straight guy can't have sex with a 17-year-old straight girl. The right will tell you gay marriage is wrong because it's not natural. And then they'll tell you a heterosexual can't be with a heterosexual, teenage girl. A guy can't be with a teenage girl, which is natural. They'll tell you they believe in religion, and their own religion doesn't tell you girls become women at 18. Guys should only like women who are 18. They have people marrying girls under 18, who are very religious, nice people, and they've had happy marriages. And people will tell you things like, I love Elvis Presley. And Elvis Presley fell in love with Priscilla Presley when she was 14, or around, I don't have the exact number, but something like that. There's a million examples I could give you, but just to save time, what I'm trying to tell people is either tell me that you're factually wrong. The law is not going by religion or science. And if you disagree, just be consistent. Make the law the same all over America. Don't tell me it's pedophilia in one state and it's okay in another state. And don't tell me teenage porn is okay and a girl can be a supermodel. And like, don't contradict yourself. Where like, I've had people tell me where they go, it's wrong. And the same person will tell me that they had a girlfriend who was under 18, or they hit on somebody who was under 18. They messaged someone on Facebook who's under 18. I had a girl one time debate me on this, and the girl was like 16, by the way. And at the end of the debate, after fighting and all that, or arguing, debating and all that, she called me names. At the end of the phone call, she goes, my boyfriend is 21. I mean, this is the logic of these people, you know what I mean? Like, this is what people do all the time.
There is one thing you said that bothered me is ubiquitous federal law.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I don't like any of those.
That's a states' rights issue. That's a 10th Amendment issue. That's not in any way, shape, or form a ubiquitous federal law.
Oh, well, I'm surprised. Well,
this is a very hot topic, right? I think you're hitting on a lot of stuff here, Galaxy. That in terms of like the left and the right, like there's just this is the one weird thing that like the left and the right agrees on, and usually when you see that means something fucked up's going on. So you see like the right that's saying things like, oh, until you're 18, 17 and 364 days is still a child, which you can sign up for the military at that point. So you're right there. And then you'll have people, I've heard feminists argue that, a 30-year-old dating a 20-year-old is pedophilia, like literally in those terms. So it gets a little ridiculous. But to kind of push back.
Tank. I'm 40 and my wife is 29.
Well, you're a pedophile, bro.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, you better go to Epstein Island.
By the way, the guy who said that he's 40 and his wife is 29, they actually have a philia for you too. That all these pedophilia. I don't think
Bill has politically assassinated or rigged enough elections to get invited to the island.
No, but these terminologies, pedophilia, ephebophilia, something philia, they have a philia for people who like just girls of adult age. They have a philia for all these groups of age. They come up with these random terminologies, and then the society gets brainwashed and goes, oh, pedophilia. I'll give you one interesting thing. A lot of people don't know this. Have you ever turned the news on? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, by the way, but have you ever turned the news on where you find a story, a local high school teacher was having sex with somebody, a predator alert, a pedophile, a child abuser, a molester, you know, those buzzwords. A lot of those cases, if you actually dig into what happened, there was no abuse, there was no preying, no predator, no pedophilia, nothing. The reason they use those words is because under the law, they're children, and you can't have sex with a child. It's pedophilia, obviously. It's abuse, it's rape, it's preying on you. So when you break the law, they use those buzzwords to act like it actually those things are true. And so when Mr. and Mrs. John Smith turn on the news and they go, oh, pedophilia, prey, child abuse, molestation, they think it actually happened, and then they start to get brainwashed about those things. That's how it starts.
You said you're not a conspiracy theorist. I'd say we are conspiracy realists, where we understand that there is a propaganda narrative pushed by the media.
Excuse me, I'm a conspiracy guru. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes. I mean, there's obviously a very coordinated agenda within the mass media, and if that was not true, then they would not have all these local media outlets putting out the same exact message around the same exact time, where they're like, there's something
that like the 47 people that own all the media, they share something in common, don't they?
Oh, we're gonna go down that route now.
But to kind of push back on your point there, I don't think that it's necessarily taboo that men who graduate high school are attracted to girls that are still in high school. I don't think anyone's really saying that per se. Maybe some.
The law tells you.
A lot of people do say that.
Tells you, you can go to jail. Anyone. These laws are made.
And mental maturity issues.
Even a person in high school. Even a person in high school can get punished by the law, because if you're a child, if they label you a child, that means a child cannot have sex. They can't give consent. They're children. Like, you wouldn't say a 7-year-old can give consent or knows what they're doing. They're not mature. They're not physically and mentally ready then. So if the law says you're a child, anyone who has sex is having sex with a child. That means people in high school can get punished by the law, depending on the state.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Most of the states that I'm aware of, there's like a 4-year age gap, which even then, when we're dealing with people, like, to me, there's a world of difference. Like, if you say like 7 years, for instance, so like 15 to 21, there's a world of difference between 15 and 21 and 15 and 8. You know what I mean? So I can. It is a little weird, right?
Well, just so you know, you're referring to Romeo and Juliet laws. Not every state has a Romeo and Juliet law, and in a lot of states, there are plenty of people who have to register as sex offenders for having sex with their girlfriend. There's cases where the girl is in court crying, "Don't punish the guy," and they're just punishing him because he broke the law. And some of the parents, they go after the guy because they don't want their daughter going out with some guy. But if
I need to interject here real quick. I have to go.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have
Bill
to
and Tank,
every
thank you for
side
having me on. Holly, it was nice to meet you. Matt, good to talk to you as always. And nice to meet you, stranger.
Thank you. You're welcome on my program, my podcast. If you ever want to come on, you're welcome to come on.
What is it called? What is it called?
Yeah, just to find me, I have more than one page, but just to find me very simply, just go on YouTube if you like and type in Michael Jordan fans or the worst NBA fans, and you should find my page very easily.
Okay, I'll look you up later. But I have to go. My family that I was going to have dinner with, I just heard the garage door. They're like 30 minutes ahead of schedule, so I got to get off here. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Thank you. So to continue where I left off to the guy who said about
hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Because I got to go too. So then this becomes a judgment call if Tank wants to continue streaming or not.
I'll go for a little bit longer, and then
okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out then, guys. Tank runs the show at this point, so what he says goes, except for he can't appoint himself supreme leader like me. Anyways, but I'll talk to you Wednesday, and see the rest of you at 7 p.m. Eastern Wednesday night. No guests this week, unfortunately, but unless I can finagle something in the next few days. So either way, take care. I'll see you all.
You too.
Bye, Bill.
Bye.
Okay, so here we are. I'm usually not here by myself. If Holly or Matt or anybody wants to chime in too, we can, whatever's going on. I'm gonna stream probably for about another 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, no problem. You know what? If you have to go, let me know. Just to left off real quick where I left off. The thing you said about age gaps, remember you were saying there's a difference between this age and this age gap? Age gaps can happen anywhere. Like you can go, what if an 18-year-old was with someone who's 100? You know, age gaps can happen all the time anywhere. But if people are happy and there's no victim, there's no one being hurt, no one should be punished. I noticed earlier some of you were saying that this is not as important as other topics. The reason it's important is one of the most natural things to do is to be attracted to someone or desire someone and have sex and all that. And they're punishing a lot of innocent guys. They're putting them in jail and ruining their lives and ruining their reputations.
I'd like to chime in here.
Go ahead.
To kind of build on what Tank was talking about. The age gap does change as you mature, and as you said, like between 14 years and 8, and 14 and 18. That's a huge difference, because in that time you are biologically and sexually maturing in such a rapid fashion. So someone who's in the midst of puberty wouldn't be considered someone who is viable to, I guess, procreate. And like, I get the point that yes, a female that's between the ages of 16 and I think 25, they are biologically the most fertile and the best, I guess, baby making machine at that point in her life. So it is natural for a man biologically to be attracted to that, because that's the best way, the best person, I guess you can say, to procreate with.
But
right. So, but you're talking about age gaps. I think when you're in puberty, I think that's when certain protections and such should be implemented.
Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, I'm not arguing for people to have sex with girls who are just having their period. Obviously, that's disgusting. It's not normal, actually. I'm talking about when girls are done with puberty. The human brain can keep growing into your late 20s and 30s. The height for a guy can keep growing until he's 25. But just because someone is not fully 25 in height or fully developed in brain doesn't mean they can't know the difference between right and wrong. Like you wouldn't say this guy is 23, he's not tall enough, his brain's not fully developed, but so he doesn't know what he's doing. Of course, 23, you know what you're doing. The part about girls is different though. Girls mature faster, biologically faster than guys. There's a reason why when you look at a girl in high school, she can pass for someone older, and a guy in high school looks like a boy. Not everyone. I'm generalizing, obviously, but the point is, girls mature faster than guys. Puberty happens around 11 to 13. Girls become women. No one becomes women at the same number. There's no magical number, but generally speaking, by the time they're in high school, they are physically women. Now, if you want to talk about mentality, there is no study out there that says girls are not smart enough to make a rational decision until this number. Again, the brain can keep growing to your late 20s and early 30s.
Oh yeah, your prefrontal cortex hasn't finished fully developing until you're on average 25 years old. And that's the rationality and decision-making part of your brain, right? So that's why young men are kind of dumb until they're 25. Sorry, guys.
Well, I want to defend guys. They're not that dumb, but I get your point.
Okay, well,
I do agree. Women do mature earlier sexually. So if I know for a fact, being a girl who was in high school, who matured later than most of my peers, like I wasn't 17 until I started menstruating, right? I didn't grow breasts until I was, well past 16 years old. And all of my friends who were, 15 years old that were fully matured with a woman's body. So like you said, women tend to mature on a gradient instead of putting an arbitrary age on it, right?
Same with guys. There's no, obviously for both sexes, there's no one magical age where everyone goes from child to adult. There's a general time frame, and Mother Nature has decided, whether you agree with the laws or you agree with me or not, Mother Nature has decided when people go from children to adult. And this magical number people come up with of 18 is ridiculous. They're just making things up.
Okay, well, that's good. I have to go myself, so we're going to have to end the stream there. Thanks for everybody for coming on.
Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Obviously, the law is not 18 in most of America.
Yeah,
it's 17 some states, 18 in some states. Sorry, go
But
ahead.
yeah, but thanks everyone for coming on. I really appreciate it. We're gonna try to do this stream. We're gonna try to do it every Sunday or so. We have
You're
people on and come and talk about stuff. But thanks everyone for coming on. I'm going to end it there. Remember, we are the ends justify the memes. So I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.